Hold up, did China just sneak launch a carbon credit game changer while we've all been doom scrolling? And guess what powers it? Yep, that dark horse network that everyone keeps sleeping on, Hedera. So, picture this, right? I'm sipping my morning, Karak chai, happily ignoring my inbox when a headline slaps me harder than a monsoon downpour. India's first state carbon bank chooses Hedera. Now, my bank goes, wait, rewind. A state carbon bank on a crypto network? That's kind of like finding out that your grandma just opened a DeFi yield farm. Naturally, curiosity hijacks my day. I start digging, okay, maybe obsessing, into Maharashtra's newest and flex, I guess, under India's carbon credit trading scheme that dropped back in April. Now let's think of the scheme a bit like an eco report card. Power, steel and cement giants either cut their emissions or buy carbon credits to wipe their environmental slate clean. Fail and, well, the teacher sends them straight to detention with extra fees. And the twist? Maharashtra's, doesn't actually want, shady IOUs floating around. Instead, they're planting the credits smack in Hedera's turbo-fast public ledger. The translation? No funny business. Receipts are printed in digital stone, and every ton of CO2 saved is traceable faster than you can say blockchain. Now, here's the story, or at least where the story kind of turns from nice policy memo to full-on Netflix doc. Now, the state partners with Mahatma, Phul, backwards kind of class development corporation. Hopefully I at least got that somewhere in the ballpark of correct pronunciation. And yeah, kind of the same agency, I guess, that focused on uplifting, underserved communities. And on top of that is a Swiss tech outfit called the Hashgraph Group. They're basically building an emissions farmers market where big league, polluters and small village projects trade credits side by side. Rural cooperatives planting kind of mangroves, come on in. Steel giants overshooting their carbon budget, open your wallets. Now, Hedera isn't a random pick from the crypto bargain bin either. Right? If you've kind of been following this channel and obviously the whole cheeky crypto, then you know that the network already hosts the AUDD stablecoin and even moonlights as the back-end muscle for the Tashi protocol's real-time multiplayer gaming kind of point, right? And the point here is that Hedera's resume, it kind of keeps expanding from gaming to green finance faster than those new job LinkedIn notifications that we all pretend to clap for. But this carbon bank move, it's kind of different, right? It kind of steps beyond buzzwords into real world, government level utility. Suddenly the usual number go up chatter kind of feels tiny compared to the idea of an entire state, home to 125 million people, settling environmental scores on chain. So just imagine if every tree that you planted in your backyard got tokenized, verified, and sold to, Teta Steel for cold, hard, H-bar. Okay, let's zoom out for a second here because I need you to kind of feel the weight right here, right? Countries love announcing climate goals, net zero this, Paris Agreement that, but boots on the ground execution? Well, often kind of slower than kind of buffering on dial up. And Maharashtra's kind of play says, enough talking, here's the rails. And the rails aren't some kind of clunky speed sheet, or at least spreadsheet, I should say. They're Hedera's hash graph. So here's a side note, before we kind of go further here, right? Check the free educational Discord server linked in the description. It's kind of where our community nerds out over these developments in real time, drop research threads, and occasionally roast my pronunciation, of various different words. So why don't you jump in? It costs you 0 rupees. All right, story time then. Remember the scene in every heist movie where the kind of crew prints counterfeit bills only to kind of freeze them with liquid nitrogen? Well, that's basically what outdated carbon markets actually look like. Opaque paper certificates, middlemen flipping them like Pokemon cards, and no clue if two credits represent the same patch of forest. Now, Maharashtra's kind of said that nah, and hired, of course, the Hashgrass Group, THG for short, to kind of code an open and governable system. Straight from the article itself, THG's resume includes digital public infrastructure for Dubai's financial district, so they're not newcomers. In India, they run as kind of Hashgraph Labs, India PVT Limited, of course, from offices in Mumbai. And, for the kind of Gahatra kind of international finance tech city as well. And you've got to picture them as the kind of carbon consultants with Swiss precision and Bollywood hustle. Now, here's the juicy part. The platform will bake verification, credit issuance, and a trading marketplace into a one seamless kind of loop. Now think of it maybe like Amazon's Buy Now button, but for, pollution offsets. Now a rural kind of biogas project kind of logs its kind of methane reductions, right? The Ghana data goes on chain, credits pop up like a vending machine snack, and, Reliance Power, buys them 7 minutes later. And the transaction is forever etched into Hedera's gossip about gossip ledger. Now, if that metaphor made your kind of head spin, well, let me kind of ground it with some small personal anecdote then. Last year, a friend of mine tried selling legitimate carbon offsets from his bamboo farm. Now, the paperwork kind of looked like a kind of Bollywood script, 200 pages and more stamps than the passport from the 1960s backpack Europe. Now, it took 6 months, 3 lost couriers, and 1 very confused government clerk. Now, imagine his paperwork replaced by a QR code on Hedera. Scan, verify, trade. Done before my chai even calls. Now, that's the promise right here. But wait. Right, it's not all Kambuya, right? Integrating rural, generators and kind of like inviting your aunties to a kind of crypto Zoom call. Equal parts exciting and, well, let's face it, chaotic, right? Connectivity gaps, literacy kind of barriers and trust issues loom large. Yet Maharashtra's kind of MPBCDC kind of exists precisely to uplift, underserved communities. Pair that mission with Hedera's low-cost transactions and global interoperability, and you have a fighting chance at making at least the carbon market less of a kind of gated VIP lounge and more of a community kind of bazaar. Now, it's right about here that my skepticism, of course, kicks in. Government tech projects sometimes die faster than the meme coins that we've been trading. Now, the article kind of hints at a structural safeguard. Each credit is verified and recorded in real time, reducing fraud. So in other words, if someone tries double spending a carbon credit, Hedera's time-stamped ledger kind of calls their bluff quicker than you can shout rug pull. Now, before we dive deeper into the dizzying kind of policy layers, let's kind of park for a bit of a mandatory reality check. And this one might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses. And this video today is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Are you good? You cool? Okay, let's glad that we're all clear on all of that. Let's get back to the saga then. Right, you might be asking yourself, why is India going to tokenize, at least going the tokenization route, instead of slapping another kind of bureaucratic kind of portal on top? And it's quite simple, scale. Right, India's climate targets are elephant-sized, and traditional registry clerks under volume, right? Or at least it creaks under the volume. And tokenization, it actually compresses the gap between action and recognition. plant a tree today, see the credit materialize tomorrow. There's no next kind of fiscal kind of quarter kind of mandate. And let's not gloss over the SEC review kicking off on the kind of Canary H-bar, ETF, mentioned at the top of the article that I'm referencing today. Now, the timing kind of feels a bit poetic as regulators kind of eye for a H-bar based exchange traded fund. Hedera quietly lands a flagship public sector project in the world's most populous nation. If carbon credits become the next kind of trillion-dollar asset class, big if, but humor me here, Hedera could be gatekeeping a slice of that pie. So here's a random yet kind of mind-melting stat from my notes. Carbon credit tokenization has grown so alluring that even JP Morgan kind of dipped toes right in. When TradFi titans hustle into your lane, well, you know that the addressable market is juicier than a roadside sugarcane press. But it isn't just, corporates kind of salivating here. Picture a small co-op in, Nagpur, right, using solar dryers instead of diesel burners. Well, they could tokenize carbon savings, sell to big polluters, and funnel cash back into village schools. It kind of flips the script. Climate finance isn't kind of trickled down, it becomes village up. And so you might be wondering, how does liquidity flow? Well, that's kind of where global compatibility enters. Now, THG designed the system with, at least to kind of jive, I guess, with international carbon markets. So a credit kind of minted in, Maharashtra's might actually end up offsetting a European airline footprint, for example. Now, Hedera's consensus engine processes it seamlessly, while, built-in governance, ensures local compliance. It's kind of like a universal adapter for climate finance, plugging anywhere, power up, absolutely everywhere. So let me kind of toss in a quick shout out then, because if you're the kind of degen who wants advanced charting and lightning fast order execution, then Kraken Pro is my go-to. Now, the affiliate link down below supports the channel. It keeps the lights on and funds my unhealthy addiction to chai biscotti. Use it, lose absolutely nothing extra, and it kind of helps keep me making these kind of deep dive videos. Use it, don't use it, I don't mind, but be aware that it's an affiliate link. Now, where were we? Maharashtra's audacious timeline then, right? The carbon credit trading scheme is brand new, right? April of 2025, vintage, I know. And this carbon bank already jumps from white paper to build phase. Now that speed is almost startup-like, right? Governments rarely move this fast unless pressure is sky high or incentives are mouth-watering. Now in this case, both India wants to lead Asian climate fintech, and Hedera provides the low latency runway. Cue the climax then, right? I'm kind of scrolling down the article, expecting fine print that says pilot project, but no. Right? They're building a full-fledged platform integrating verification, issuance, and trading from the get-go. This is the equivalent of skipping the kiddie pool and cannonballing straight into the deep end. Risky? Sure. But if it lands, Maharashtra's set the kind of blueprint that every other state and maybe every other country could copy-paste. And copy-paste they will because carbon markets are messy patchworks. Some rely on spreadsheets, others on proprietary databases. None talk nicely to each other. Now, an open Hedera-backed ledger, bridges silos, and suddenly Africa, Europe, and Asia could transact carbon like we trade memes on X. So just imagine a borderless carbon Spotify, except the checkout button says offset now. Now, by this point, the investigation journalist inside me is absolutely buzzing. Now, I start daydreaming about field trips, interviewing bamboo farmers who will become carbon millionaires, or visiting THG's Mumbai office to watch coders, string together the blockchain Lego. But reality hits. I'm still in my studio, mic in front of me, and my editing software blinking impatiently. So let's wrap the emotional arc problem then? Climate targets high, trust is low, systems are clunky. Solution, Mahatra's kind of Hedera powered, carbon bank, agile, inclusive, transparent. The key moment? Government green lights THG to merge verification, issuance, and trading into one living organism on-chain. Now, before I sign off, let's unbox the takeaway together. Right, Hedera just graduated from promising tech to public infrastructure. And if you've been on the fence about whether blockchain can handle real-world kind of chores beyond meme coins, well, this project is your signpost. And if Maharatra's kind of nails it, well, dominoes won't just fall, they'll sprint. Okay, and here's one last kind of housekeeping note then. If you found this breakdown spicier than your grandma's pickles, then smash that shiny subscribe so that you don't miss the next rabbit hole that we tumble into.